Yes, I've missed you too, and we can catch up later after I finish telling you this story. Simplicity taken to its extreme, minimalist visuals for maximalist world building, gun, 3 ingredients of chaos coming together to form a journey that transcends time and space as if Bryce Hall was piloting the TARDIS. But in order to get there, we have to go back to the beginning. We must go back to August 10th, 2008. On this day, Thomas Ridgewell, under the username Tom Ska, premiered the very first episode of ASDFMOVIE, an adaptation of his webcomics under the same name. Through fast-paced absurdist comedy, ASDFMOVIE built itself an inescapable presence both on and offline. Pretty soon, every middle and high school across America was plagued either by a wave of teenagers quoting ASDFMOVIE back and forth to each other, or by me specifically, for unrelated reasons.
Oh, hi, sweetheart. Are you here to see the principal? Is it because of the bean scheme? Why don't you take a seat? She'll be right with you, hon.
At the peak of ASDFMOVIE's fame, Tom and his scallions were an unstoppable force that permanently changed the landscape of internet culture one absurd line at a time. While it wasn't the first of its kind, its popularity and longevity proved ASDFMOVIE to be one of the best of its kind, and it laid the groundwork for a lot of similar content that came afterwards. What really made ASDFMOVIE stick was its simple premises subverted within seconds, its rotating cast of recurring characters and plot lines, and its high volume of memorable gags. I mean, who doesn't love these guys? Mind Turtle, the muffin that wants to die, the guy who says I like Trey. Simplicity taken to its extreme, minimalist visuals for maximalist world building, and gun. ASDFMOVIE had it all. I wanted to use a real cigarette for this video, but what was I going to do with the rest of the pack? Loiter in front of a Wendy's? Part of ASDFMOVIE's legacy includes the surprise appearances of other well-loved YouTubers, such as Dan and Phil from Dan and Phil, Aaron Eagle Raptor Game Grump, and Vsauce Michael here. This star-studded cast of mostly gaming YouTubers contributed to ASDFMOVIE's exponential growth and, as a result, acted as a catalyst for the growing popularity of gaming content on the platform. Markiplier, who also voice acted for ASDFMOVIE, was building a massive gamer audience around the same time ASDFMOVIE was solidifying itself as an internet presence. While still pregnant with the twin boys whom he would abandon at a Dave & Buster only a year later, Markiplier was on set shooting for the 2015 sci-fi adventure comedy web film Smosh the Movie. Playing a fictionalized version of himself, Mark performed with yet another star-studded cast and used his incredible skills as a floor gymnast to get close to his co-star, Grace Helbig. This is getting really old. By this time, Grace was already balls deep in the peak of her fame and, as such, was in collaboration with many other fellow YouTubers, most notably Hannah and Mamrie Hart, no relation. Which I have to say, because up until writing this video, I fully thought those two were married. Despite her channel being a thinly veiled cover-up for her underground turtle fighting ring, Grace built herself an empire upon her legion of awkward, closeted teenagers and made a successful career for herself as an internet personality. Combine that with her magnetic positivity, and it's no surprise why she was an honored guest at the 2013 variety show, An Evening of Awesome, hosted by Pulitzer Prize reader John Green and his brother Hank, better known as the Vlogbrothers, leaders of the Nerd Fighters and founders of VidCon. Now, nothing of note has ever happened at VidCon, but it's worth mentioning because that was a lie! There's never been a normal year at VidCon! 2010, Susie hits on Anthony Padilla mistaking him for Jamie Lee Curtis. 2011, 12 guests go home early due to food poisoning. 2012, a group of League of Legends cosplayers break in mistaking it for the wrong convention. 2013, John Green accidentally introduces PewDiePie as Pootie P. 2014, Tyler Oakley receives a live hamster as a gift. 2015, HVAC malfunction makes people believe they hallucinated Lily Singh's awkwardly paced stand-up. They didn't, it was real. 2016, Markiplier receives a dead hamster as a gift. 2017, Zoella glitter bombs the audience, blinding 2 fans. 2018, Logan and Jake Paul start a turf war over Josh Peck merch, injures 11. 2019, Nick Avocado gets escorted out after 43-minute pursuit on foot. 2020, canceled due to COVID. 2021 was also canceled, but that was because of internal drama between John Green and the Hololive management team. Something about the Vlogbrothers not respecting VTubers, or maybe the other way around, and honestly, I don't know which one's funnier. But it's because of these connections made at YouTube-centric meetups like VidCon that a lot of creators gain the opportunities to branch out into different media and share their creativity in ways that are personal to them. And instead they all decided to write books. I wish I could tell you why, but something about the LA water in the mid-2010s made nearly every YouTuber want to write mediocre, semi-autobiographical novels like Girl Online, Binge, and The Fault in Our Stars. This isn't even related to our timeline here. I'm just so fascinated by it. But getting back on track, by connecting YouTubers with their fan base and other creators, VidCon became the nexus of what we now know and hate as the YouTube community. But why do we hate it? Well, here's where our timeline splits. On one hand, we have a 24-hour content-making, ad-revenuing machine raking in unspeakable amounts of money, which incentivizes other developers to make and or own the next big video streaming platform. And on the other hand, we have a growing community of creators and viewers connecting over an existing platform designed to keep them all in for as long as possible, the dangers of which can be seen through YouTube's gaming community. This toxic horde of Minecraft creepers got their start around the same time YouTube shifted their recommendations algorithm to increase overall watch time. Because it just so happens that the characteristics of a video that maximizes viewer retention happen to line up with those of a Let's Play series. Oops! Cheryl, hear me out. What if we do one of those, what's it called? Those Let's Play It's. You know, the kids these days, all they do now is press some buttons and talk about how they're pressing them buttons, and all of a sudden they're making millions. I mean, if we do it, maybe then you could finally buy that dress you want. This means that gaming content had taken over YouTube by the early 2010s, and thus strengthened an online community comprised mostly of angsty teenage boys susceptible to anti-feminist radicalization. Wow! That sounds dangerous! I hope no cynical, recently dubbed video game reviewer doesn't try to, I don't know, redirect his anger towards all notions of female empowerment and liberation. That would be really slippery in this kind of space. Now, Gamergate is its own Pandora's labyrinth of worms, and as fascinating as this topic is to me, I refuse to go further into a very dark subject already dissected by people more qualified than I, so I hope you don't mind, but we're moving on. As a result of gaming culture fell so hard into edgy humor that their version of comedy consisted mostly of ironic bigotry, which only enabled actual bigotry, thus escalating the ironic bigotry, which enabled even worse bigotry, thus escalating the ironic bigotry, and all of a sudden PewDiePie does a Nazi. Twice. And all of this happened because of what started off as a simple, innocent premise, letting niche communities unite through a centralized platform. All it took was a few bad faith actors using this centralization to their advantage for it to be dragged into unrecognizable intensity. Simplicity taken to its extreme. Thus is the life cycle of all things good on the internet. Meanwhile, the lucrative model built up by YouTube meant that other streaming platforms tried their hand at building a centralized community of creators, and the first to succeed in this was Vine. Working within the 6-second limit, its most popular videos contained a lot of one-liners, slapstick, and quickly subverted expectations, elements that might seem familiar to fans of a particular web series. That's right, I'll say it. Every Vine is an ASDFMOVIE, and you can die on this hill with me, or you can die mad about it. While the Vine community at large was home to more questionable content, ranging from overused gags to borderline minstrelsy, the well-loved legends, the ones that you might frequently reference or see in a Vines That Cure Depression compilation, left a long-lasting impact on internet meme culture. But as we all know, Vine died shortly after, leading TikTok to become the news source for fast-paced, quotable shitposts, now with the added feature of sounds. Which kind of sounds like I'm implying that videos before TikTok were all like silent films or something, but what I really mean is that on TikTok, audio itself is now a distinct and, importantly, searchable entity, which means that users have a much easier time adding their own take on different trends. Because it's not memes anymore now, it's trends. Well, Cheryl, if we can't keep up with all of these new fads, I mean memes, I mean trends, then we won't be able to afford that dress you want. And I know you got high standards for dresses. One day you like ruffles, and the next day you like sequins, and today you're all like, I like train. This means that scrolling through the app will give you a rotating selection of sounds that increase in memorability each time you hear it, both on and offline, further spiraling the already earworm-esque meme culture built up by the platforms before it. Combine that with the enigmatic algorithm that decides what to promote through methods beyond our comprehension, and we have a platform where any lucky or unlucky individual can blow up overnight. The utilitarian with Chinese characteristics in me wants to believe that this increased access to virality isn't that good. After all, why should internet fame be a privilege only afforded by the 1%? But as an ageless micro-celebrity who has received both good and bad attention from the Gen Z TikTok town hall, I'm a little cynical. Despite knowing that literally anyone can become TikTok famous, algorithm permitting, I noticed that the average user who hasn't yet made it big treats the ones who do with the same parasocial stand-up that we see on YouTube. At best, this has given incredible opportunities to smaller creators who previously struggled for their big break. And at worst, we see the casual harassment and sometimes even doxing of private citizens over unnecessary speculation gone too far. We tend to forget that every user online, big or small, is literally just some guy, and the only thing keeping you from getting just as big is a few lines of code. I swear to God, one programmer in China sets a few variables to false, and all of a sudden I'm being harassed by teenagers with pit crew icons accusing me of inciting violence on the queer community over a video reminding people that bisexuals exist. But this self-awareness hasn't yet reached the largely teenage user base on TikTok. Instead, this restless mob that they've created continues searching for their next villain of the day, always keeping an eye out for any words or actions that they deem problematic. We've seen this through cases like Couch Guy, West Elm Caleb, and the second Couch Guy. Once they find even the vaguest suggestion of bad behavior, they'll construct an entire worldview in which this person in particular, whoever they might be, is the reason behind bad thing. Minimalist visuals meets maximalist world building. No reason to believe otherwise, no room for error, no time for redemption. And the worst part is that Gen Z humor, as evolved through fast-moving platforms like TikTok, is this highly nuanced absurdity where counting how many layers of irony each meme is under requires fine-tuned observation. So asking any human or bot to decide what to put in the bad canceled box is just not reliable in the time frame that these internet mobs demand. How do you decide what's genuine hate speech, what's just a parody, what's a parody of a parody, and so on? How do you moderate the unmoderable? So through these two timelines, we're seeing both the genuine danger of letting small sentiments of anger go too far, and the delusional, often misdirected justice that comes from leaving the control of said anger up to the people who are oftentimes even angrier. Doesn't matter if it's YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, these two halves cannot coexist the way they do now. There needs to be a third half that can bridge them. And here's where our split timelines meet once again. We have our simplicity taken to its extreme. We have our minimalist visuals for maximalist world building. Now we just need gun! And while we figure out what that gun is, we're stuck with Elon Musk. I'm sure you've heard by now, but on April 25th of this year, the world's most special boy offered to buy Twitter for over 7 times the price of ending world hunger. And despite trying to back out of it, is being forced to follow through. It's not the gun we needed, it's not even the gun we deserve, it's the gun we're stuck with. God, this sucks. But who's to say this is a bad thing? I am to say that. This is unambiguously a bad thing. An impulsive billionaire should not have this much power, and despite the ramblings of his supporters, this will benefit only him and whoever cashes his check. I need a drink. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. How are you doing, by the way? How are the kids? You don't have kids? I knew that. I was just testing you. By the way, I've been trying to get into lifting lately, but it's so intimidating. Luckily, this guy at the gym I like trains.